Ninjas are a branch of the Japanese samurai, a very old organization. Its origins are hundreds of years old. Much of its history has been lost. Not many ninjas exist today, yet they all have indomitable fighting skills and superb ninjutsu. No matter what weapons you use, a ninja will never die. It's hard to describe their power in words, but to be brief, they're professional killers.
What? You mean such men exist?
Yes.
Tony, ninjas are so powerful, they must be connected. I think there's no doubt they're involved. What do you say we should do, huh?
I'm still loyal to the Ninja Empire.
So on first inspection, the Define R5 looks very similar to the Define R4 at a glance. The dimensions are almost identical, and it maintains the simple, understated Scandinavian design language for which Fractal Design is best known. The case is available in black, titanium, and white, and comes in windowed or windowless variants. So the tagline for the launch of this case was "Silence Redefined, oh you subtle sexy Swedes." Moving up front to the I/O, we are greeted with two USB 3.0 and two USB 2.0 ports. These are actually just simply labeled instead of using the typical blazing blue USB 3.0. Again, very subtle. We also have the audio I/O, blue LED lit power button, blue hard drive activity LED, and the reset button. Inspecting the door a little bit closer, you can see it has sound dampening material on the inside. It opens to a little bit more than 90 degrees, which is nice, and the hinges are on both sides of the door so that it can be swapped to open either way for easy access no matter how your setup is oriented. Looking up, we see two 5¼ inch optical disc drives with toolless covers. These again can be inserted either direction. Above the optical slots is an integrated 3-speed fan controller, and moving back down we see the easily removed front dust filter. This sits in front of one of the two included dynamic GP14 140mm fans, the second being in the rear. On this filter is the only really big and noticeable Fractal branding, which actually sits behind the door, subtle, and you can see it features some pretty fine mesh and angled vents to direct airflow. There's also a second included dust filter you can get to with the door open on the very bottom of the case. It pulls out easily from the front, and it also actually covers the entire bottom of the case, which is again very nice. While we're on the bottom, we can also check out these nice metal feet with rubberized bottoms, which gives the case 10mm of breathing room, but please do not leave your case on carpet. The front panel also has plenty of clearance to allow cool air intake into the front of the case via these gill-like vents on the side of the front panel. These are probably the most notable design features of the case and have been carried on to the Define series. The right side panel is pretty nondescript as you would expect, except on the inside where there's an ample amount of sound dampening material, and this actually really adds to the heft of the side panel. The panel is removable via two self-captive thumb screws on the rear. I really love this idea and wish it can get implemented on every case, everywhere, ever. Taking a look at the rear of the motherboard tray, we see there's a pretty nice size CPU cutout. These two rear SSD mounts have self-captive screws as well and allow you to hide away or augment the hard drive cages on the other side of the Mobo tray. Cable management looks pretty well considered in here, with over an inch of space to pack away even the bulkiest cables. The branded Velcro straps are an awesome touch, and there's plenty of tie down spots even in the bottom recessed space where I like to tuck a lot of cables. Onto the rear of the case, we have the aforementioned second included 140mm fan to match the one up front. This mount supports both 120 and 140mm fans and is slotted instead of just having mounting holes to help maximize compatibility with motherboards, coolers, and give some extra room for top mounted radiators. You also see the standard I/O shield cutout, 7 expansion slots, some honeycomb exhaust ventilation, and the PSU mount. Swinging around to the left, we're now taking a look at the left windowed side panel. We see it offers a pretty ample sized view of the juicy bits of your build. It's secure with thumb screws for those belt and suspender types who want to make extra sure it doesn't move around with any positive air pressure. but it's actually able to be secured via this quick release latch for fast access, which I think I'll be mainly relying on. As I noted earlier, there's also a windowless version of this case, which has another module vent and supports a 140mm fan, but unfortunately this doesn't include an air filter. After popping off the panel and taking a look at the interior, we see that Fractal Design has maintained essentially the same internal layout as the Define R4, but with a few key refinements. It still supports ATX, micro ATX, and mini ATX boards, but includes this new pre-installed male standoff, which helps with ease of motherboard installation. The case supports coolers up to 180mm. It has grommeted pass-throughs exactly where they need to be for cable management. Taking a look at the drive cages, they hold up to 8 total 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch drives. They can be mounted facing the rear or side of the case. They can be mounted individually up high, down low, and towards the rear of the case with slotted holes that can also support 120 or 140mm fans. The cages have a pretty low profile structure to help promote airflow from the front intake fans over the hard drives and into the rest of the case, and utilize those self-captive screws that I love so very much. They've also got rubber grommets available for the hard drive cages to help silence physical drives, and these can actually be switched to allow for mounting drives either forward or backwards depending on your preference. Now, depending on your hard drive cage configuration, you can fit ATX PSUs up to 190 or 170mm, and that's going to depend on whether you have a 140 or 120mm fan installed on the bottom. Without that, you can fit up to 440mm ATX PSUs, which is, I guess, basically everything on the market. Graphics card support is up to 310mm with the top hard drive cage installed, and again 440mm without. Moving up top now, we see the ODD cage is now removable for greater flexibility with large radiators. So now the drive cages can be mounted up top, allowing for bottom mounted radiators to have push-pull configurations. Or this mounting plate can be completely removed altogether, allowing for larger top mount water cooling solutions. Just a crazy amount of flexibility. So in the front you can fit a 120, 140, 240, 280, or 360mm radiator. Moving up top you can fit a 120, 140, 240, 280, 360, or 420mm radiator. Down below you can fit a 120, 140, or 240. And finally in the back you can fit a 120 or 140. Note, all these radiators obviously can't be fit in at the same time. Any radiator mounted in the front will interfere with those mounted on the bottom, and certain longer radiators in the front will also interfere with the ones up top. Note that the 420, 280, and 140mm radiators will have to have a maximum thickness of 55mm, including the fans, because they must be mounted over top of your motherboard. On the air cooling side, the case has 9 fan positions fitting 120 or 140mm fans. You can get 2 up front, 1 in the rear, 3 up top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 on the side if you're using the windowed case. So finally, taking a closer look up top, we see the 3 module vent panels, which are individually removable and lined with sound dampening material. These let you expand your cooling options for large or small radiators without sacrificing all the silent performance, and they're removable from the inside toollessly. So now for the conclusion, Fractal Design has made a great amount of improvements and refinements over the Define R4. They've definitely paid attention to what consumers and reviewers have asked for and what their competitors have been doing to bring us a pretty damn amazing case. Now I went ahead and did a full reference build in this case, and as I expected, cable management was pretty great. My only gripe was the size of the grommets for the 8-pin CPU cable. I kind of had to pop them out and put them around the cable, then route the cable through, and then mount the grommets back on, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt, something you don't really have to do all that much, but I think just a few more millimeters of clearance would have been great. This case definitely seems like a winner, but it is not perfect. Let's check out some of the pros and cons. For the pros, we have the tried and true understated design. The case has excellent modularity with reconfigurable hard drive and optical cages. It has great water and air cooling support, allowing up to 9 fans and a huge number of permutations of radiator sizes and configurations. The case has very well thought out cable management with plenty of space in the back and a number of pass-throughs and tie-downs. The easily accessible air filters are great. The dense sound dampening and new ModuVent tech make this probably one of the best silent cases on the market, but it's also well balanced to suit enthusiast builds or more down-to-earth custom builds. And also dim captive thumb screws, please just put those everywhere on all of the things. As for the cons, there are no top or side air filters, which would just be nice. I know they'll add to the price, but I just want to see those. I'd love it if manufacturers would at least consider having an aftermarket option design that we can pay for separately. On my unit, the color matching wasn't perfect between the white, plastic, and metal. This is kind of nitpicky, but it's something I noticed. Also, as I mentioned, the grommet pass-through for the 8-pin CPU lead needs to be widened so that you can get any modular cables through there really easily. And lastly, I want and need a whiteout version and blackout version of this case without having to swap internals with somebody with the opposite color case. But I guess that's a little bit nitpicky. But let me know what you thought of the case in the comments. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up or thumbs down and let me know whether you want to see more videos like this in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. We've got a ton of videos coming up featuring this case, like build logs for Project Arashikaze. Check out my Amazon affiliate link in the description below if you bookmark it and use it when you buy stuff on Amazon, like maybe a awesome Fractal Design case or Mike and Ike's, then it gives me a small commission and costs you nothing, and it helps the channel grow. Be sure to follow me on your favorite social media sites for more frequent updates on all my ongoing projects, upcoming video, and little sneak peeks and behind the scenes. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Born a ninja, die a ninja.